how to fight against somebody who's clearly better than you. So I've talked about this before. The best thing you can do against somebody better than you is not shut down entirely, right? That's number one. You don't want to just box up and just play super defensive because the aggressive side of it is always going to be easier to kill you and faster, and it's just harder to play defensive against any player. Okay, what we're going to start with is we're going to go up this channel and we're going to answer every question straight up. One by one, we're going to answer every question. Okay. Like I said, I'm going to do this every single time. This might take us 20-30 minutes max. I would assume that would be the longest we should take to answer these. Could take longer, who knows? But I feel like this is a good way to get your guys' questions asked, and then we can kind of tweak the process as we go. We can make it so it's only 10 minutes of questions and more VODs, doesn't matter. Without further ado, we'll finally start. Okay. All right, so first question coming from Tiago FN7. He says, how to plan scenarios like you did with the early game plan. Early game plan. Okay. So again, some of these questions I might not be able to answer because they might be kind of complicated or it might be impossible to show or might just not be good questions like this, right? But the better questions, right, obviously I'll get those. So he's talking about early game, right? How do you plan out your early game? What's the best way to plan out your early game? So of course, a lot of you guys have asked for me to do a different POI, right? I've even got a channel here that has everything in it. And this is a good baseline because this is what I was planning on doing for Mount Olympus last season, but I just never got around to it. But this Riviera channel, okay, I know Ritzy's not in the game anymore. The entire of this entire thing was recorded already, right? It's already on YouTube. You can go watch me learn Ritzy for the first time and do this live. It's all on YouTube. Okay, so what I want to say is use this channel as a reference. Okay, I didn't do this to teach you guys Ritzy. You know, that's a bonus, right? I did this to teach you guys how to learn yourself, right? Because anything I'm explaining to you, you have to be able to know how to do it yourself, or it's just not like, what's the point, right? If you come to me for every question, you're not improving, you're not understanding, right? So understand how I made the search, how I made the job map, how I made the billing callouts, right? How I made these channels. But he's talking about early game plan, right? So we'll go to the game plan here. Okay, this is a really in-depth game plan, or actually not too in-depth, but yeah, this is what my game plan looks like. I have a pretty rough version. This is really formatted, obviously, but I have a Discord here, chapter 5. This is what me and my teammate go through. So obviously I'm not gonna show that at all. But yeah, so the gist of his question is how do I make a game plan early game, right? And I'll answer that, right? So wherever you're landing, let's just pick Lavish, for example, okay? We'll just go, this is the first thing I zoomed in on, okay? So you're gonna game plan, right? You're gonna pick the main spot, all right? From my knowledge of Lavish, it's this top of this building here, okay? So you do this. Boom, boom. All right. So this is, let me turn this off too. This is where you land in Lavish, right? From what I've seen other pros, Thomas and Queasy, they land up top here, okay? So it's just like I did here, right? You pick the power spot. Where's the best spot in the POI? Is this the best spot? No, right? Like it's easy to figure that out, okay? You can just also look at what other pros do. It's a great thing to learn from. You can study other pros. So you pick from that, and then that's all you have to do. You pick your landing spot, and then you can make what if scenarios. Okay, so now, right, let's say you and your duo, let's just do one mark actually. Let's say you and your duo, you are red, right? You and your duo, the yellow is an enemy player, okay? You can do this against any spot on the map. You can do this for so many different scenarios, right? So be inspired that this is something that you can do like for mid game, late game, surge plans, everything, okay? It's very simple. It's the what ifs, right? I've explained this before, and obviously it's in this channel, okay? So you can create a, what if we don't get the top? What do we do? Where are we going, right? Have a plan, okay? So if we don't get top, and again, this is all drawn in my head, imaginary. This is not one-to-one true because I have not practiced this spot. So, okay, what if we don't get top drop? All right, then we go here. Okay, what if we get top drop when we're contested? Okay, what we go left side, we play this left side. Or maybe it's just based off floor spawns. What if you get the first gun, right? You just do that. Okay, if you get the first gun, what do? Do you drop and chase right away? Do you follow him? Probably not, right? There's a lot of windows, doorways, walls, right-hand peaks. There's lots of farm. There's lots of rat behind, crouch behind, right? Like if you chase the player, he's just going to run forever and you're going to be chasing him while he's building his back, blah, 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 blah. You guys get how it goes, right? It's just not, it's an infinite chase. Some POIs, like let's just use this one for example, right? This POI, if you chase the player, right, it's very small, okay? If you chase the player, you're going to want to chase the player because there's not enough loot and you're going to have the advantage and you're going to kill the guy, right? So think about that as in your scenario, okay? I don't know where you guys are all landing, but we're taking Lavish for example here. So you create an if plan, right? So what if a team lands here and a team lands here? What do? What if a team lands back here? What if you're uncontested? Okay, does that mean you aim for the top and then if you're uncontested, you swerve and one goes here, right? Draft up the plan for your early game. It's really simple. It's again just applying what ifs. What if three, like actually every scenario can happen, right? Just like in real life, right? Like you would imagine that somebody, drinking their Starbucks and honking their horn wouldn't get in a car accident, but that somebody's done that before, right? Like somebody's been drinking this brand of coffee and gotten in, like, you know what I'm saying? Situations are endless, right? There's infinite amounts of possibilities here, especially in Fortnite. So what if 3 teams land down here? What if 1 team lands here and 2 teams land down here, right? Create scenarios. Of course, as you go through the game, you'll get into more realistic scenarios, right? Like not every scenario is going to be like that need to be thought out that much, right? Like 5 teams aren't landing down here. We all get that, right? So like maybe you plan for maybe 1 team, or maybe you plan for a team to come in late, right? So you can plan that for your entire early game. A big part of what makes this successful in your what ifs, just like I've done here for the building callouts, is create callouts, right? These are very simple. And when you create callouts, do it with your duo, because you want to be able to communicate these between you and your duo, and keep them simple, right? So I keep them in 1 syllable or 2 syllables, not like back main little back house with the trees outside. Like, no, keep it, right? Like keep it very simple, right? I guess I can run through these callouts here. I was going to run through the ones that restore, but it doesn't really matter, right? So the courtyard, the black building, clock tower, back house, bottom dock, right? All these have callouts to them. Just in case a player lands lighthouse, I can easily communicate that he landed lighthouse, or he landed at the tunnel to the White House, the bridge, whatever you want to call it, right? And a lot of these things will come in on the fly, right? Like if you guys play 1 game of Fortnite and this is your first game landing lavish, you would probably defaultly call this the main building, right? This is the main building, but you could say this is the little north house, little west house, south side, right? Like south area, reboot van, right? Like these are very simple comms, but you want to create more, right? So these aren't just like right side, left side, water side, building side. That's not what it is, right? Try to have a little bit more depth in it, right? So maybe even count your levels here. Like, hey, they're the top level, bottom level. They're in the library. They're in the trees in the back. They're at the forest. They're at the pond area, right? Like create all these little comms, because these will help you when you try to connect the dots, right? So let's say your team here, right? You land top. 1 team goes back here for some reason, okay? You say, hey, 1 landed north house and 1 landed pool, or like whatever, the pond. And then in your game plan, you can have scenarios. Okay, so what if the team does this? You want to have that answered, because the way the game works and the way it's always going to work and has forever worked is the more you can plan ahead, the better you do, because you don't have to think about these small details, right? Imagine me and you guys, just imagine me and you, I'm talking to you, right? Me and you, we were playing duos, okay? We landed here for the first time. How are we going to communicate this? We're going to be like, yeah, back, this area market, this, he's maybe going from here to this marker, you don't really, it's really messy, right? And then you have to think about all that. Okay, so now if he goes to this area, what is he going to get? No chest spawns? Okay, did I know that? No, I had no idea, right? So if he's over here, if you calm that he's at the pond, he has nothing. So that means in your what if a player's pond? You jump on the player. That's your simple answer, right? Like, what if a player's forest? Okay, you get above him, right? And that can be, you just have to solve all the what ifs. What if a player lands teal house? Whatever, right? What if a player lands in the front, courtyard? Okay. Again, the big thing with these comms is that it's 1 to 2 syllables. So that's how you play in your early game. We're gonna keep going. All right, I'm gonna react to this when we're done. Okay, how to improve? We're not doing that one. Is it better to play for in-game every game of a duo cup, or to rhythm aggro / pushing games in placement games? So yeah, I mean, in the history of the game, it's always been better to drop the high kill game 1, right? Everyone knows you key game 1. Even in solos, right? Every game mode, 0 build solos, it doesn't matter. You drop a good kill game 1, and then from there you can play placement based off of your game, right? So it's kind of like a what if, right? We can continue to apply that scenario past early game, past mid game, past late game. What if I get a 5 kill win game 1 in my duo cash cup? That's clearly not good. That's not good enough, right? You need more. So that means I need to key more, right? So, and these are scenarios where some of them are unspoken, right? If you guys get a 0 kill win in your game 1, no shit, you got to go for another win or another 20 bomb, whatever, right? So a lot of these things are given, and that's why it's so easy to answer and so easy to react, right? Because you've already thought it out in your brain, just like these what if scenarios, right? So yeah, most definitely to answer this question, you need to get a good kill game 1. I would say 15 to 20 is manageable, but again, it's just going to be an uphill battle. And these opens, right? Duo Cash Cup. FNCS is not like this entirely, because it's not as hard to get opens to top 50, right? Like the first round is not as hard. And also in the later rounds, you don't have to drop a bomb. So this is why you'll see a lot of like really, really aggressive creative players do really well in Cash Cup opens and qualify a lot. And you'll see players kind of like myself, IGL leaders who aren't the craziest fighters in the game. You know, we still go for 25, 30 kill wins, right? Game one, and we can get those most times. But in an FNCS week, you know, round 2, 3, you don't have to do that. Nobody's doing that consistently. Yeah, so you kind of just play off of how you did game one, and then ideally, I mean, best case scenario, you play placement, right? You play placement, go for 5 kill wins, 10 kill wins, whatever. Now also consider when you're talking about, do I play for in-game, do I play aggressive, right? When you talk about playing aggressive, let's say you get a 0 kill win game one, okay? When you talk about playing aggressive, you have to consider how contested your spot is, okay? So let's just imagine Lavish is a mythic. It's got the best, it's AK-47s, mythic scars, everything, right? The best POI in the game, okay? If you're landing here and this is you know this spot that you're best, you know this is where you want to go. That's fine. You can. I encourage you guys to not land poverty splits. Like, don't land up here if you don't have to. Understand that if you start playing aggressive and your off spawn is like, I would say 50-50, or you know, not necessarily like you drop on the same gun at 50-50. I'm talking like 50% chance you win, 9 out of 10, you know, 10 out of 10 games you won 5 off spawn. If that's the case, then maybe you need to find a backup spot, or maybe you need to be extra safe off spawn, right? So I've talked about this before. It's checkpoints. The game is also in checkpoints, right? So when you go and you like get a forecast tower cap, right? You put the key card in and you get the zone reveal, right? Like that's a checkpoint. You just got one of the most broken things in the game, right? You can see every zone now, right? So that's a checkpoint. So now your game goes from, all right, look, we should W key this game, to, all right, look, hey, we got an hour and a half left of the tournament. Let's make this game a win here. I don't care if it's a 2, 5 kill, 10 kill win, doesn't matter. 0 kill win, doesn't matter. Let's get this game as best as we can, best placement wise, because that's always going to be better for points consistently. And then the next game, if we don't get forecast tower spawn, then we'll key. That's fine too, right? Again, those are kind of like what if scenarios. What if we get the forecast, right? So you can kind of, you don't have to detail all those out. Again, these are a lot of untalked about things, right? Like if we were playing, me and you, and we needed a key game, but we got forecast, we'd be like, oh, you know what? Let's get it. Let's get a win this game. Next game we'll key, and that's fine, right? So, that's the best way to kind of plan out your games. Be cautious of your off spawns. Understand your POI if it's really contested. Sometimes tournaments flip, right? Sometimes Lavish might be the most contested spot in the map. Sometimes it might be the least contested spot. A great way you can check this, by the way, is Kinch Analytics. Shout out to Kinch Analytics. He is an absolute legend, right? You can see these spots right here. This is just like a random from today, I guess. You can kind of see here, right? Like this image shows Lavish was conned by 55 teams, right? So if you're landing, let's use Nitrodome, 95 teams. If you're landed on by 95 teams, chances are you're probably not going to want to, you only live 5 out of 10 games, or you might be shambles 8 out of 10, and you might have your best 2 games, you know, as stacked games where you killed the entire POI, or maybe you're just luckily uncontested, right? But if you're landing a spot like this split over here, like 35 teams, right? Like you're good, right? Like 28 teams over here, like you're good. You can easily just drop in and like you can play aggressive all you want, because you know your next game, if you die off spawn, doesn't matter. Or you die mid game, doesn't matter. You're going to be uncontested again, so you can just get the restart, right? All right, so that answered that question. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. Okay, what is your game plan going into opens of Cash Cup? Kind of just answered it, right? Like you want to drop a 30, 20, 25, 15, even if you really can't find people. You want to just play aggressive and key. And then after that, you play placement based off of how your game went, right? So if you got a good kill game, you could play really slow. If you got a 30 kill win in game 1 of Cash Cup opens, you're full placement because you're already high elo, you're already top 50. That's another way to see it, right? You can check your elo. So you can go to Fortnite Tracker, right? Like we can look at this. I think this is probably live right now, right? Yeah, look, we can look at EU. It's still going, okay? So we can go like down here, right? Find yourself, let's say you're, I don't know, let's go deeper here. Let's say you're this team right here. It doesn't matter, right? You're this team. We ass. And student of Kawhi. All right, let's say you're this team, okay? What you can do is just keep yourself there and be like, okay, I'm at 268 points. I need these games. I'm gonna refresh. Okay, I just dropped down to, where did he go? He's 364 right now, okay? Refresh. Still 364, right? You can just refresh every 5 minutes and see yourself drop out of the elo, and you can kind of count the elo, right? So top 50 teams, top 50 elo, right? Like they are in a lobby for the most part, right? So it's not exactly like that 1-to-1, but it's like you get the idea. If you're 5,000th place, that's a great way to look at it. Be like, hey, look, we're going to be against somewhere between 4,000 to 5,000th players, right? Again, that's not exact. I don't know the exact like way the elo works, but you'll be in some type of lobby like that, and that's just boom. You know you can play aggressive. So yeah, that's a great way you can check after your game one. Be like, hey, look, we got the 12 kill win. Let's see how that put us. Oh, now we're still 3,500th place. Everyone else dropped the higher kill game or higher point game. All right, bet. Let's, that's fine. Let's key again. All right. Brett says, during Endgame, how should I choose to kill or get a refresh based on factors like types of zones and placement of your position of the map? Yeah, so in this meta, you've got Nitro Splash, right? So you can kind of get a refresh whenever. I would say the way that pros look at getting refreshes is when it is, there's multiple ways, right? There's about a handful. There's when you're stacked and you don't need a refresh, right? But you see the opportunity. It's kind of based off of the position you are, like what's your next goal, right? Are you trying to go for height? Then maybe you shouldn't go fight this team, even though you're 5-5-5, even if it's like a free refresh, even if he's sitting waiting to get sprayed down. Maybe you don't take that because you want to use that 30 seconds to look at height and win the game from height, right? Height wins games in this meta. Height wins games. So yeah, maybe you need the refresh really bad than just Nitro Splash in those box, right? There's like different ways to choose your refresh. It's very simple, right? It's a little intuitive. But yeah. Let me think if I missed anything there. Yeah, I mean, also if you're stacked and you're still like mid layer and you haven't climbed up layers to go for height, take the refresh. If it's free, take it, right? Like a lot of pros will kind of play the option. If it's there, they're gonna take it. Like they're not gonna turn down 500 mats, right? That's like an extension of 2 zones, or maybe an extension of another refresh, which is more kills to get you, higher mat, and then you can take height easier. How is W keying the first game worth it more than playing for the win? Should you W key the first game? Yeah, I just talked about that, but yeah, you should. How do you actually get top 5 in end games and solos? Every time I either win or get griefed very early in end game, I got myself griefed by Infinite Nitro Medallion twice, stopped me from calling to the finals. All right, you know what I'm going to do for that one? I'm going to show my Twitch VOD. By the way, for those that are in here, a lot of you guys, I see you guys in my chat a lot, so appreciate you guys. But I stream every single day. I stream every single tournament, opens, finals, FNCS, grand finals, streamed it all. I'm going to show you guys kind of the similar situation that you're talking about. Like, oh my God, I streamed for a while yesterday. So let's see here, right? This is in the, this game, right? Okay. Great example here. 48 points, 1 game left. When should I queue? At the very end. Also, you're seeing me. I answer questions. Come to my chat, ask me a question. I'm here for it. Let's go. Okay, so you're seeing here, right? Right before this, I got griefed, right? So in my mid game, you're seeing here, I'm 5-5-5 stacked on loot, and this guy's just nitroing, right? Now, what saved me is the space and the weirdness in my box, right? Like if I just had empty boxes, I would have died way faster. But it kind of griefed me in the same way. So I learned from this, right? I'm still learning it. This is like an hour into the cup. So I'm still learning how to play this exact meta, right? But by the end of this game, I was like, okay, I get it now. All right, so I'm getting keyed. I'm looking for counter damage. I have Nitro on myself. I messed up an edit there. It's fine, right? Anyways, this guy continues to grief. Okay, so I have to eventually just run. So I just run away, right? I end up stumbling on some loot, which is nice. I get stacked again. Okay, I'm running. Okay, the same guy comes for me again, right? I don't have Nitro on yet, but he's just still jumping in on me. And I know, you're seeing how I'm building. I'm blocking my back with stairs and stuff. I know I'm on the hot side of zone. Everyone can be looking at me. This is like max chance to die right now. So I'm getting griefed, right? Annoying. I just get away. You just use your skulls, use your mobility, get out. Now, of course, it depends on where you are on the map, but here, right? I just use my sprint.
Like, dude, that is so annoying.
And then you see here again, right? Like I'm very shambles. I was 3 minutes before this, I was 5-5-5, chilling, great spot in zone, easy rotate, skulls, everything I need. Now I'm really shambles, right? So again, just like refreshes, like I kind of talked about before, just find the opportunity.
Dude, that is so fucking
this guy's rotating late. I see this guy's looking at him too. So I say, okay, I'm not going to kill him here, but I'm going to try to get him killed. All right, so I try to get him killed. He ends up dying. I say, okay, I'm going for this. I tried grabbing the wall. I say, you know what, dude? Fuck this guy. All right, make him run away. I'm not even trying to kill him. If I kill him, it's a bonus, right? But I need the loot first. Like that's my goal. So now look at my loot, right? I'm back. Mats, splash, everything. So you just kind of have to like, use the nitro to not get keyed and also key, right? And then here you're seeing me after that, after those 2 times where I got keyed, I was like, dude, get in your top cone. So every time you'll see me now, I'm in my top cone. I'm not on my walls at all. Like I no shots, no chances being taken here. No one's running into my box and finding me. So get in your top cone if you want to counter. I'm honestly talking about it right here, which is crazy. So get in your top cone. Okay, that's how you counter nitro right now. So you see me rotate in, whatever. And then through endgame, right? Because you're talking about getting griefed in endgame. You almost make it to final top 5, but you get grief before. You're seeing here, I layer. I get on higher layers. Way less odds for somebody to be ramming in my box. On top of that, metal box, right? Metal box, if it's fully built, takes 2 smashes, which is not a lot, but it takes some time.
Always try to build metal here.
Right? So boom, staying elevated and building metal. So again, you see me here. Metal, again, right? I'm looking for it, but I'm elevated and I'm in metal. I'm doing the best I can do. This is the best you can do. At the end of the day, someone could still run into my box, but if I'm 2 layers lower and I'm in brick, I'm asking for it to happen. So that's the answer to your question. 2 layers, climb up layers and use metal and sit in your top cone and always edit your cone to like triple way it, right? So that way if he does run in your box, because we know, right? Like if you run into a box and there's a stair, you don't break the stair. You have to kind of break it yourself or whatever, right? But it will break the wall behind you. So if you have a triple way cone, that gives you the highest percentage chance for the guy to like not be able to run in your box, right? And kill you instantly. And you can just edit out and then you kind of have to play from there. Okay. How to improve a WQing in solos. Okay. So I have a map that's not yet released. It's in beta. It's probably about a week and a half away. I've talked about this on stream. Some of you guys have already heard me say this. I've been hosting these nightly on my Twitch because it's just in beta. So we're just getting test runs. I'll show you guys the map here. I think I played it here. Right. So I'm finally about to release. This is going to be one of the best forms of improvement. And honestly, out of everything, this is the best way to get better at solos. Like, I'm not even trolling you. This is something that I've dreamed about having in the game for so long because I used to just do 32 player warm-ups all the time. Like, I know a ton of pros that did it for ESL, like Muzz, for example. I was talking to him like, yeah, what are you going to do to warm up? And he's like, hey, I'm gonna play 32 player Zone Wars. And those are great maps. But the problem with that map that is pretty iconic is it's a straight line Zone War. It's, it goes to heal off every single time. And yeah, it's great for fighting, but I've essentially evolved and made the system better with my map. So it's not yet released, but there will be some tweets and some posts about it coming soon. So hopefully in the next week or so, but I'll kind of show it here. All right. So what it is it's 4 different biomes. So you can look at the mini map here. We've got snow, ice. What am I saying? Snow, sand, grass, right? We got 2 grass and 2 different ones. So you play the Zone Wars out. Okay. And then after the Zone Wars, you go to box fights. It's 32 player box fights. But the cool thing is you're seeing this little barrier on the right. It's quadrant box fights. So it's split. I'll kind of draw it up here, right? So it's quadrant, right? So if it's 32 players full, it's 8. Oh God, that's about 8, right? And then they fight. Once it gets to 4, okay, then this team is done. They're now waiting for whoever gets 4 next. One of this teams or this team, right? This team gets 4, doesn't matter. Okay, so this team gets 4. Now this wall drops. Let's just imagine this is not a wall anymore. Okay, it drops. Now these 4 players fight. Okay, and then once these both get to 4, right? These guys will fight. Okay, once this gets to 2, then these guys will fight, right? And it'll all come down, and then finally it goes to 1v1. So you're not actually getting jumped on by 32 players. It lets you kind of practice your 1x1s, practice getting third-partied, practice third-partying other teams, practice all of that, right? So you can kind of see on the right here. I'm in quadrant 4. You can see the numbers here. It's coming down to the final zone here. So it's a great form of practice here, right? So now we go to Zone Wars, switches biomes. And yeah, now we're in snow biome, and then it just switches over and over again. So it's a really good way to keep yourself fresh. For me personally, and maybe some of you guys have the same feeling here, I can't sit in box fights, like clicks box fights, for 40 minutes. I can't do it. If I do it, I literally go insane because it's just the same thing, going against the same team, 1v1, 2v2, doesn't matter what it is. You're just doing, it's just the same little area, and there's no way you can do it for an hour. There's no way. This map, easy. Your zone wars, your mind's, you have to think about different things. You're moving, you're rotating, you're farming, you're building, whatever, right? The box fights, same thing. It just alternates each round. So I feel like that's the best form to practice for solos. And the best form to improve W King in solos. Okay. How to fight against somebody who's clearly better than you. So I've talked about this before. The best thing you can do against somebody better than you is not shut down entirely, right? That's number one. You don't want to just box up and just play super defensive because the guy's aggressive. The aggressive side of it is always going to be easier to kill you and faster, and it's just harder to play defensive against any player, right? Like than it is to play aggressive. So try to get a pop shot on him. Try to get a jump peek or something on him. But I've talked about this before. The snail. If we go into the directory channel, which is right below the announcements, I've posted in these videos the 5-minute explanation of the snail technique. I've posted so many times about the snail technique. I've done short forms about it as well. This video will show you how to build it, how it's useful, why it's used by all pros. I don't want to say that I put everybody on, but I was taught this probably 3.5 years ago now. And back then, nobody knew what it was and nobody knew how to do it. And it was the most busted thing. And now it's still extremely busted because a lot of people don't know how to do it. So that's the best way to play against somebody who's playing, who's clearly better than you. Should I practice night on what you told me, or should I play the Duo Cash Cup? Play the Duo Cash Cup, but you still have time. You have like 3 hours to practice. That's a lot. How's it going, Tallygash? What zones is best to go for center? What zone is best to go for center? What zone? The fifth and sixth zone. Actually, wait, no. I think it's just the fifth zone. Forget. It's this zone right here. The one. It's this one. I forget. Is this sixth? No. Fifth zone. This is the one before this, right? Because if you're center zone here, let me use Epic Pin. If you're center zone in this zone right here, let's see, pen, right? This is the zone, right? It's already there. I'll do blue. If you're center zone right here and you're on that blue, anywhere it pulls, boom, 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 right? This is the hardest pull because it could pull. You could be where he is, right? It could have pulled here or where it did, and that's a far rotate. When he could have, that's what I was telling him. He could have gone center in a bush or here. You don't have to go dead center, but you can go in this kind of area, right? Like general area, and then the next zone is super easy for you, no matter where it goes, right? What's the best ways to improve at solos? 32 players, zone wars, box fights. The map is not released yet, but in about a week it will be. Unfortunately, we only got through a couple, which is fine. We can go through this later another time if we have more time. But we're gonna go switch to the footage. All right, let me lock this channel up, and we will be back in here next Tuesday. All right, next Tuesday, 2 p.m. Central. Set your calendar, set your alarm right now.